A single image plastered across the entire face of a 33-story hotel did more than just advertise a basketball player. It declared a new world order. When Nike transformed the Indianapolis skyline into a towering monument for Caitlin Clark, it sent a definitive shockwave through the entire sports world, confirming a truth that many already suspected, and that the WNBA establishment deeply feared. This wasn't marketing, this was a corporate coronation.
The establishment is absolutely panicking because this proves who really runs the league now. Wilson's reaction tells you everything about the jealousy and resentment that's been bubbling under the surface.
And in the fallout from this stunning display of power, the deep, complicated, and often bitter reality of women's basketball was laid bare. This single event peeled back the curtain on a league grappling with a revolution it never saw coming, exposing a chasm between public perception and private resentment. It forces us to ask a crucial question: is the WNBA ready for the very savior it has spent decades praying for?
That's going up on the JW.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. Yeah, it's pretty solid. Anytime you get on the JW in Indianapolis, like, that's a big deal.
The sheer, unprecedented scale of this maneuver cannot be overstated. This took place during the NBA All-Star Weekend, a time when the absolute biggest names in basketball, from LeBron James to Stephen Curry, descend upon one city. And yet Nike chose to make its loudest, most expensive statement for a WNBA rookie. This was a deliberate and calculated decision to hijack the attention of the entire basketball universe. They didn't just purchase a billboard, they conquered a landmark. The 33-story JW Marriott, a centerpiece of the Indianapolis skyline, became a temporary shrine to Caitlin Clark. Her image, stretching an incredible 300 feet into the air, looked down upon the city with a simple, powerful tagline. This was never a long shot. This was a level of brand activation and financial commitment typically reserved for global icons like Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods.
Starting at guard, 6 foot from West Des Moines, Freshman of the Year, Player of the Year, winner of the Staley, Sullivan, Wade, Lieberman, Naismith, Wood, and several other last name awards. A 2-time All-American First Team, 3-time All-Conference First Team, 3-time assist leader, 10-time won't miss leader, 2-time Tournament Most Outstanding Player, current even more outstanding player. Whew. Conference Player of the Year, Player of the Month, Player of the Week, Player every minute, owner of the conference 3-point record, free throw record, triple-double record, the Iowa State Fair shooting record, the women's all-time NCAA leading scorer, and your new all-time NCAA leading scorer, Caitlin Clark.
But the true genius of this move was embedded in its strategic timing and location. By launching this campaign in Indianapolis, the heart of Big Ten country and Clark's regional backyard, Nike was speaking directly to her home base. It was a power play on every level, a direct message to every other player, every rival brand, and every league executive that the throne had not only been claimed, but was now being aggressively defended by one of the most powerful corporations on earth.
If you guys haven't seen, like, it's actually just crazy. It's crazy, like 30 stories high. Like, this is absolutely mad. Like, the floor is ours, from downtown is my town. Could you imagine if she didn't get voted as an all-star?
What makes this even more devastating?
Instantly, the internet did what it does best. It exploded into a digital wildfire of speculation. A simple and incredibly juicy narrative took hold, spreading across social media, sports forums, and debate shows. Aja Wilson, the league's reigning MVP, a 2-time champion, and a dominant force for years, must be absolutely furious. The world braced for the drama, eagerly anticipating bitter quotes and sideline stare-downs. But what actually happened next revealed a far more interesting and complex story. When the media finally asked Wilson about the colossal advertisement that seemingly overshadowed her own accomplishments, she didn't lash out with the sour grapes everyone was expecting. Instead, with the poise of a true professional, she calmly shattered the internet's entire narrative with just a few simple words. She remarked, "I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. It's pretty solid. Anytime you get on the JW in Indianapolis, like that's a big deal." With that single graceful quote, the simple story of a petty catfight evaporated. In its place, a much more profound and uncomfortable truth began to emerge, one that speaks volumes about the state of the league. The real story wasn't that Aja Wilson was seething with jealousy, it's that the entire world expected her to be. That universal expectation is where the true conflict lies. It reveals a deep-seated tension that has been simmering just beneath the league's carefully constructed facade of unity and sisterhood for years. For over 2 decades, established WNBA players have had to fight and claw for every scrap of media attention, every sponsorship dollar, and every bit of respect. Now, a generational force of nature has arrived and is being handed the entire kingdom on a silver platter, not because she demanded it, but because the undeniable logic of the market demands it. Wilson's professional response only highlights the growing chasm between the players trying to maintain decorum and the brutal business reality unfolding all around them. And that business reality is driven by numbers that are simply indisputable. Multi-billion-dollar corporations like Nike do not make 9-figure investment decisions based on sentiment or a desire for fairness. They are guided by one thing and one thing only: cold, hard, irrefutable data. And the data surrounding the Caitlin Clark effect is nothing short of staggering. When Clark plays, arenas that once had thousands of empty seats are suddenly sold out, with ticket prices on the secondary market skyrocketing to hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars. When her games are broadcast on national television, viewership ratings don't just climb, they often double or triple what the league typically draws, bringing in millions of new eyes. In fact, it's been reported that WNBA game viewership can plummet by as much as 50% when she is not on the court. This isn't an opinion or a hot take, it's a measurable, statistical phenomenon. She possesses a commercial gravity that is pulling the entire league into a new orbit. To corporate America, she isn't just another player, she is the entire business model. So when Nike decided to plaster her face on a skyscraper, it wasn't a gesture of goodwill or a charitable gift to women's sports. It was a calculated, strategic investment in their single greatest asset in the entire female athletics market. It was a move designed to maximize an unprecedented financial opportunity, and the feelings of other players were simply not a factor in the equation. But the investment goes far deeper than a single massive advertisement. It's about anointing a successor to a legend. The most powerful and symbolic statement Nike made was not with brick and mortar, but with leather and thread. They gave Caitlin Clark access to Kobe Bryant's signature shoe line. This wasn't just a shoe deal, it was a move loaded with profound cultural significance. The Kobe line is hallowed ground in the basketball world. It represents more than just footwear. It's a symbol of the Mamba mentality, a relentless, obsessive pursuit of greatness that transcends the game itself. It's a brand reserved for those who aim for immortality. By bestowing this sacred honor upon Clark, Nike was engaging in a public anointment. They weren't just making her the face of their women's division, they were elevating her into the pantheon of Nike basketball itself, placing her in a category all by herself on par with their most legendary male athletes, before her rookie season had even concluded. And while Aja Wilson expertly took the high road publicly, you don't have to look far to find the undercurrent of resentment from others in the league. The real resistance isn't happening in press conferences, it's happening in subtle yet deeply revealing ways. The silent mutiny is real and the evidence is clear. Look no further than the All-Star voting, where her own peers, the very players who are directly benefiting from the surge in popularity and revenue she is generating, voted her a shocking 9th among guards. It was a petty, passive-aggressive move that was impossible to interpret as anything other than a coordinated effort to humble the rookie. It was a political statement from a faction that feels left behind. Then there is the undeniable on-court reality. The welcome to the league moments for Clark have been unusually and consistently aggressive. The infamous blindside hip check from Chennedy Carter away from the ball wasn't just a hard foul in the heat of the moment. Given the context and Carter's subsequent comments, it was a physical manifestation of a league-wide frustration, a message sent from the old guard to the new queen. This is the silent rebellion in action, the unspoken war being waged by players who feel she hasn't paid her dues or earned her stripes, even as she single-handedly rewrites their league's financial future. It's a textbook case of a culture struggling to accept a disruptive force that is changing all the rules. Every professional sport eventually faces a moment of reckoning like this. The NBA had it with Michael Jordan, whose individual greatness and massive commercial appeal created friction with established veterans. Professional golf had it with Tiger Woods, whose meteoric rise and complete dominance was met with resentment by his peers. It is a classic pattern. A transcendent superstar arrives and becomes bigger than the sport itself, forcing everyone else to either rise to their level or be left in their shadow. This process inevitably creates immense growing pains. The WNBA spent over 2 decades desperately begging for a mainstream superstar who could break through the cultural noise. Now, against all odds, they finally have her. But it seems the league's internal culture, built on a foundation of paying your dues and collectivism, is dangerously unequipped to handle the glorious, chaotic reality of a supernova. The central conflict for the WNBA is no longer about fighting for relevance against other sports. The new battle is internal. It's about whether the league can successfully manage the single greatest asset it has ever had. Do they rally around their golden goose and embrace the new hierarchy for the benefit of all? Or does the jealousy and infighting threaten to poison the well just as it's finally starting to overflow with opportunity? What Nike did in Indianapolis was far more than just an advertisement. It was a clear and prophetic glimpse into the future. The old era of marketing women's sports with broad, gentle messages of social justice and equal participation is over. A new, more ruthless, and far more effective model has been proven. The blueprint is to identify a singular, generational talent and build an entire commercial empire around them. The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is that blueprint brought to life. The jealousy from her peers, the aggressive on-court tactics, the petty all-star voting, it's all just noise in the face of an unstoppable commercial force. The train of corporate America has already left the station, with Caitlin Clark as its conductor, and it is accelerating at a historic pace. The old guard of the WNBA is now facing a final, stark choice, and the entire world is watching. The question is no longer if Caitlin Clark is the future of their league. The only question left is whether they'll learn to ride the historic once-in-a-lifetime wave she has created, or if they'll be remembered as the ones who were tragically swept away by it.